Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Hello.
Hello.
From the Northern Studio.
We are in the split studio today. We're changing the studio spaces and everything, so all the episodes coming up are going to be slightly different, but the format will remain the same with Paul and I hosting the show. So,
it's so much nicer not having to do all the editing on those buttons. Now you know how I feel trying to turn down and have a conversation.
Not really. It's easy. Easy.
I know, multitask. But you know what, Mark? I got a little treat. Because I'm in the Northern Studio, I'm actually using my whole mixing desk that I do all the sound system with for some of the National League games I do. So I can actually give people an idea of some of the sound effects if you want.
This is a lemon juice for anyone looking and for anyone interested. I don't know how I feel about drinking from this particular glass at present.
Wow. Did you want me to show you the effects or you want to go into that?
Do it. No, go for it.
Oh, okay. So here you go. Here's the one that everyone kind of likes when the referee's buggering around. We have a referee buggering around here. And they've made a decision. Let's go.
Yeah, we didn't hear any of that at all.
Oh, you didn't hear it? I thought we tested that and that worked.
Yeah, not that one.
That's a bit crap then, isn't it? I won't bother with the rest. Right. Let's rock and roll. So, Mark, look, let's talk about the Luka trade. You got to consider after what's happened this week that the Lakers have got the better end of the deal. I mean, Anthony looked like a monster
he did.
Dallas for that game, and he was like,
for 20 minutes.
Oh man, Nico Anderson's made a good call here. Though that one fan who got kicked out the other night, he didn't really agree. But
did you see the clip on that with Mark Cuban? Mark Cuban's turning around to him, and he's turning around to him going, and he just kept saying, sit down. He just kept saying it. And then in the end, they was like, get him out. But you got even Cubans going, mate, just like, all right, you've had your little 5 minutes with your sign up. You don't have to just stand there the whole game saying it. You know, there's nothing wrong with someone.
Is that what happened? Online, it kind of came across
of course it
he had the sign up, they took him down, and then they just went up to him when he said, fire Nico, and they just went, jog on. So
he was on the Jumbotron. He was on the Jumbotron, and everyone's singing along to music, and then they put the words up along the top. And then what happens is, you know, you're all just singing along karaoke style, then they get the camera on you. And then as soon as the camera was on him, he just went and like lip synced fire Nico. And then the camera zoomed straight back out and everything. And then the next minute they got signs up and they were shouting fire Nico, fire. And they were these little signs and stuff. And they're like, are you going to be doing this the whole game? Like, right, out you go. Which I understand. Because if they're going to do a little thing and make a thing of it, that's fine. But if they carry on doing it, you go, all right, you've had your 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's a bit old.
Everyone else wants to listen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and look, that the start of that game, his first game, you were looking at the trade going, you know what, this is looking okay, but unfortunately, injury struck. Was it a groin injury or something like that?
Yeah, he's out for 2 weeks.
A month.
Well, here's the thing: they said 2 weeks. And then when you look back on it, they're like, it's like an indefinite 2 weeks. You suddenly go, okay, that could stretch any second to be like, oh, he's got to have this or that. Now, the problem it faces two things. One, Dallas have now got Derek Lively out. They got Daniel Gafford out now as well. And obviously Anthony's out after playing just 20 minutes. So you look at it and go, hang on a minute, you got 3 of their key guys out. Like, they're done. They're done. But I can't see how they get to the playoffs because the amount of games they're going to miss in this 3 week period at minimum, they're going to drop well below that sort of threshold for getting into the play-in. So, I mean, it looks like it's massively paid off because you go at the other end of the court. I mean, I will say this: Max Christie, he's been brilliant as well, and not a lot. everyone talked about Luka, and no one talked about AD and Max Christie, or Maxi Kleber, all the other guys Markieff Morris, everyone else who was involved in this trade. Like, no one talks about them because it was all about Luka. And like, Max Christie is a great player. Like, I think he's averaged over 15 points per game since he's been there and played. So you can't. He's a young guy. You can't ask any more than that. But I think Luka got 14 points in his first little run out or whatever. And someone threw up a stat saying he is equal with LeBron James Jr. for points.
And look, in LA, they consider him one of the greatest LA players of all time. So, Luka's matching great heights, Mark. For our American listeners, I know they have problems with this. That was sarcasm.
Yeah, that was a massive dollop of sarcasm because whilst Bronny James, he doesn't suck. He lives in the G League. That's where he should be. He's just not quite ready for that transition.
Yeah. Well, it's there still seems to be a bit of sour grapes. I saw, the advances in AI at the moment are so amazingly funny when you get these memes come up and these videos come up. So one of the ones that I thought was brilliant I saw this week was, do you remember White Men Can't Jump?
Yep.
When you've got I'm trying to think of Woody Harrelson's character. What's he called?
It's not the duck and the goose, is it? It's
No, they're the pros at the end.
I know. I'm trying to think.
Anyway, his character, they've arranged to set up some guys on the court, and one pulls a knife out and goes, "You're setting us up." Anyway, they did this thing where Woody Harrelson's character is Luka, and what's the other guy? Billy Hoyle. That's his name. Billy Hoyle was Luka. Who's the other character? Wesley Snipes. Anyway, he's LeBron going, "I don't know this guy," and then the other guy's AD with the knife out going, "I'm gonna kill you, mother."
I like it. Yeah,
that's great.
It's a great film. Fun fact about, well, not fun facts, but Woody Harrelson's dad was actually a convicted murderer. He actually went and killed a judge, and then fast forward I can't remember how many years, they did a TV show, and they in there referenced about a guy upstate who went and killed judges if they got out of line, and that was his dad, and that's what he did.
Wow. Do we need to say allegedly here, or
no? He's proven that was it. That was a thing. It was a real thing.
Wow.
Which is ironic, given that then he went on to play films like Natural Born Killers and some of those sort of films. You go, it's a bit harsh, isn't it, making him do those roles when his dad kind of was like that. Anyway, we digress. Yeah, all the memes are going to come out of this for a long time. Now, you mentioned about those people holding up signs. The new owner last year or so of the Dallas Mavs, the governor, he came in to one of the games. Everyone was booing him, and there's a clip, and he turns around to one of the guys, and he sat down, and he's looking, he points going, "Are they booing me?" And you look at him thinking, yes. What do you mean, are they booing me? Is that a trick question?
Why would they not?
What?
Look, I know you said in the last one of the last shows that it was the two GMs that got together and did this, but the owners have got to sign that off, right? The owners have to sign that off.
Yeah, well, it depends on the level of carte blanche. I mean, if you went on,
there's no way they're getting rid of Luka.
If you went for the Boost family, if you went on the Boost family on the other side, I mean, Rob Pelinka had an easy conversation, didn't he? Because he'd go to them and say, "Hey, someone wants to get rid of AD. Someone wants to take AD," and they'll be like, "No, not really. It's for Luka." They'll be like, "Yeah, do it." It's like a 32-year-old who is injured. So this is where it comes in nicely. So there was a trade by LA as well. One of the other trades that was going on was from for one of their young players, and I've forgotten his name now. I've totally forgotten his name. It's Dalton Necht. That's his name.
Yeah, they They got a
for
bit
Mark
of a gem
Williams.
there, weren't they?
Well, no, because Mark Williams was there.
Oh no, it fell through, didn't it?
He was the centre for Charlotte Hornets, and then Dalton Neckler was going to go there. Yeah, so there's two parts to that. Now, the centre failed his physical, and he said, "Yeah, I don't want to go back to the Hornets." And they're like, "But we've rescinded the trade." So JJ Redick said, which I thought was quite a good point actually. He said, "I've actually had to go into Dalton because he's a young player, a young kid. He's had to go in there and sort of say, I'm not playing him tonight. I'm just going to let him get his head around it." Because you imagine that, you go, hey, you're playing on the Lakers. Next minute it's like, right, you're off. We're shipping you off to Charlotte. It's like, okay. And then actually, the trade's coming through. Oh, you're back on the Lakers. It's like, it's not that we didn't want you. This is just part of the game. You get traded sometimes. And so he was actually thinking of his head and going, let's give this kid a minute before we put him back in rotation. But yeah, so the reason it's interesting is because they said, well, he failed his physical. And they went, well, how could Luka pass a physical if he is, how can he pass a physical if he's injured? And how did AD pass a physical? Now, Luka's back playing, so that's how he passed a physical. How did AD pass? Well, yeah, that's a good question.
He played
20 minutes.
A while, yeah.
Yeah, but he was on the injury list when he got traded. So he played for 20 minutes, then he got injured again. And you're like, I think it's just people trying to look at layers, trying to find what, because it just is a very one-sided deal, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's,
so.
I said this last week, whenever it was, and I'd stand by it. Whatever happens to Dallas in the playoffs is going to determine Anderson's future as GM, I think.
If Harrison's even around at that point, the good thing is the owners could just bin it on him and go, well, he came to us, we don't know anything, and play the we trusted him card. But a lot of people are looking at the owners going, they're playing kind of like, I want to say like a video game, but they're playing a bit like, imagine you're in player manager mode and imagine if we do this and I do that, and it's like fantasy league, but except that they are billionaires, so they can do it in real life. And
that's one of the I really liked about, who's the former Dallas owner?
Mark
Cuban. Yep. That's what I really liked about him. He was a fan. Like, they were worried. The other owners were worried he's going to sub in. That's what was great about him. Same thing. Ginny Buss. She is a huge part of the Laker organization. There's no way anything significant is getting through that organization without her saying yes or no. So
exactly. And Jerry Buss, before that, that's what he was like, and that was instilled in from her. So, like daughter, like father in that respect. But when you go into those, I mean, Orlando Magic to a point is a similar thing where they have the DeVos family, and they have been behind the Magic since very, very early days. Not quite day one, but I think very early days. And that's why it's Amway, because they owned Amway, and then obviously taken on other places. But again, when you have a certain, I want to say, a family brand that are around it, there's a stability that's built into that organization. And that's what Cuban brought when he bought the team. You think he had it for quite a long time. And then it's like,
made his money. What did he sell? Why did he sell Dallas?
A lot of
he'd have made a big profit on that.
He bought it for $250 million and he sold it for $3.5 billion. So yeah,
why did he sell?
Did right. I don't think he's completely given all his reasons, but a lot of it comes down to, it just takes it's all consuming, so to speak. He had an offer at a good price. If you think Jordan sold up his stake in Charlotte a while back,
he knew he was never going to be able to sub into a game, and he was like, screw this, I'm off.
Yeah, so, some people, he said about it being more about entertainment, hotels, real estate, like the way that the actual NBA is starting to go now. And look, all you got to do is look at Steve Ballmer, what he's done with the Clippers. and the Clipper Stadium. And he spent $2 billion on that new stadium, near enough. And it's all about real estate, what you own, properties, invested interest. And he said, look, Cuban said, I don't know anything about any of that. So I just need to get out of it.
Well, Mark, look, let's talk about the other thing you sent me a few days ago. I love this fact. You sent to me how much Joel Embiid has been paid whilst being injured.
Oh,
this
man.
Is nuts.
Yeah.
What's that value?
It was 125 million that he's
for doing nothing.
Yeah. It was 100. Let me get the number. I think it's 125 million.
Sick for work, but you don't get paid 125 million to get to vote. I mean, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
With his 400th game missed, he's made 125,695,189 dollars of his total earnings. 400 games missed, so he's been sat on the bench. 125 million for sitting there. How many emails now do you think the Philadelphia organization have gotten from people around the world, players just going, mate, for give me £1,000, I'll sit down for 400 games. That's no problem.
Yeah,
I'll sit on the end of the bench, and if you let me sit on the end of the bench, I'll pay you £100 for every game I go to.
Yeah, and I said this to you towards the end of last season. He's done.
Yeah.
I know it keeps trust the process. Yeah, 125 million for not turning up.
Yeah, look, hey, speaking of not turning up, Ben Simmons now got subbed out to the Clippers. I think the Brooklyn Nets, I believe, or was it they bought him out his contract, and then he went off to he's gone over to the Clippers now. I mean, that's another guy who spent the last 4 years, 80 million contracts. He's done sweet FA.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him play back in November last year. He was looking all right. I mean, he was looking. He wasn't amazing, but he looked all right. So it's I was surprised.
But that's it. The last 4 years, he's been nothing but injury. Come back, he's maybe played 20 games a season, if that. And they were like, he's on an 80 million. I think Shaq's even made Mick out of him saying, look, if I can work out how to get 80 million for playing 45 games in 4 years, that's the best contract you got.
Well, Mark,
these guys don't want to. These guys don't want to. Let's get it out there. Let's, in defense of Ben Simmons, I'm not going to defend Embiid, but in defense of most of these guys, if you're injured, you don't want to be sat on the bench. The same as the Kawhis and so on like that. If you've worked that hard, we've heard some of the people, who've gone to colleges and gone to that and seen what that level's like, and they're like, to get up to the NBA, the level you have to get to is insanity. So the fact they're in the NBA and they're sitting on the bench, it's let's not fool them. They are amazing basketball players still.
Talk about sitting on the bench. There was a great clip of LeBron missing a layup this week, and the camera spanned to Luka, and he kind of just put his hand over his mouth, oh my goodness. And the guy next to him is nudging him,
there
don't do it, don't do it.
Don't laugh.
Look, Mark, let's wrap up the NBA. You brought it up last week. Let's talk about Dennis Schroeder, who you were saying about. He got traded to 4 different teams.
Yeah.
In, was it 24 hours or something? He ended up in Detroit. What's the latest?
I thought the latest was he's in Detroit now. That's as far as I got to.
He's retired, mate. I think he's putting out his retirement.
No, is he not? I didn't see that.
Yeah. So many people are looking back and saying, if the Lakers offer you 84 million, you say yes.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Has he really just binned it off?
I mean, this is all on social media, so who knows if the...
Well, he performed in his debut, so...
Oh, maybe that's crap then. Allegedly retired. Maybe retired for a day and came back.
Yeah, I mean, he played. He played in his first game.
Oh, mate, I'm talking rubbish. These are lies on social media. I read that one. Damn, there's loads of them saying.
This is the problem. That it's the problem, but also the solution. Dare I say, is that if you look at the NBA, if you're following the NBA, you just go on NBA.com. there's the source. You can just look and say who has played, who has not. Here's all the injury reports. These are the actual numbers. And then anyone who runs a podcast, anyone who's on media, anyone else does, like, they take bits and pieces and it all gets thrown around, doesn't it? But it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, was it 8 teams in 5 years? I think he's played on. But 84 million he got offered by the Lakers, and he's like, nope, I'm worth more than that.
He's going to have a room that looks amazing. Like, if you played in the NBA, I'd like to think that you would have your jersey, you'd have your own jersey framed up. Like, there's my, my Orlando jersey up. There's whatever it is. Once you play out 8 teams, I'd have the home and away one up. I wonder if players do that. I reckon they do. Wouldn't they? They'd have their own jersey up.
You'd have to. Yeah, of course you would. Why would you not?
But if you played for a load of teams, would you have them all up, or just the ones that you liked?
I mean, if you completed the rainbow, I think you would. But it'd be also, if you got, like you said, home and away, there's 2 kits. If there's the third as well, because sometimes there's a third kit, isn't there, for tournaments, like in season, they do the city jerseys,
and there might be a
don't they?
special kit,
yeah.
Like things like Jordan wearing number 12. Like, he wore that once for one game. It's like, I wonder where that jersey is. He must have that.
Yeah, 45 as well he wore, didn't he?
He wore 45 for a while. It wasn't. I think
I can't remember who it was, but they said 45.
I think he wore 45 for a couple of weeks.
Who was it? Someone said 45 isn't 23.
Yeah, they made a mistake.
And he came back and they're like, why did you do that?
I think he wore 45 for a handful of games.
Yeah.
But it was number 12. My understanding is his jersey was stolen and he ended up wearing 12.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
And I didn't know. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, right, Mark. British basketball.
Yes.
Should we move on to that? So, before we start, can I just say a huge thank you? I'm not going to go into any names, but I just want to say a huge thank you to the British basketball community. I know we've been talking about having a couple of podcasts where we're talking about maybe mental health or some of the psychological aspects around the game. So,
yeah.
I mean, our regular listeners will know that Mark and I are doing a master's degree, or we're just finishing a master's degree in psychology. And, my major project is all about the difference of a mental injury compared to a physical injury. So as a baseline example, you roll your ankle and that might take, I don't know, anyone who's a basketball player, exactly, it takes like anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks. If it's really bad, 3 months maybe for that to heal.
Yeah.
However, the mental injury that goes alongside that is actually 3 times longer than the physical injury. So the classic example is a player drives into the hole, you go up, and all of a sudden you're doing this layup and you're looking down at your ankle rather than up at the basket.
Waiting for someone to submarine you.
Yeah, so that was so my study is all based on that. And I'm not going to go into any names again. I've had a wealth of amazing support from professional all the way through to the national leagues and local leagues. So, for it just highlights to me the basketball community and everyone's trying to help everyone out. So all those involved in that, huge thank you. And I know once we finish it, maybe we're going to do a podcast on that one, because that's I think a really interesting one.
Oh yeah, very interesting. That is very interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, Mark, I just stole your podcast for
no, not at all. Give them a round of applause. I think they deserve it. But
it's all. I can't. I'm not saying who the names are. That'll go to my grave.
But the thing is, it is. We talked about it last week with the sad passing of the 4 players over in Essex, and it's part of the frustration that we have with UK basketball is that it doesn't reflect the community that's behind it. And I think that's where we get so frustrated. There's so many people out there who want it to do well, there's so many people who put a lot of time, a lot of their own personal time, personal money, and it's like the people in sort of the main bulk of the organizations just don't produce a product that reflects how passionate everyone is, the amount of teams there are, and all the people who give up their free time to do a scoreboard, to run and to do the refereeing, to it just none of that gets
Mark,
reflected.
we don't thank referees on this show.
No, we don't thank them. We acknowledge them, but we don't thank them.
I saw a really interesting
Would you ref
message
again?
Conversation.
Would you ref again?
I've been thinking about it. Just trying to get into the game and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been thinking about it. But it's a really interesting conversation that I read on a WhatsApp chat, but didn't comment, which was about being respectful to referees, which we all wholeheartedly support. However, there was one person who made an amazing comment, and it really resonated with me. And I was like, and the comment was, the referees are pretty much the only people in the gym getting paid.
Yeah,
it's
a good point.
It deserves all of their effort, even if it is 20 quid.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially when passions are high and stuff like that. So,
I think for me, I haven't refed, but the only thing I would say with refs is I think their challenge is to not only be present all the time, but they have to be able to separate when someone is being passionate to when someone is being confrontational. Because if someone, oh, fuck's sake, like snowflake, like that.
What? Mark, that was the F-bomb.
That was ducks. They were ducks. I said duck's sake. But that was, no snowflakes. We're not having a snowflake on that. But literally, those sort of things, you've said it before, like you got to let people let that passion show. Yeah. In the same way that sometimes there's a little scrappy foul, you let it go. But you can't let every scrappy foul go, because you've got to do both ends, and you've got to be consistent. But that there's been a few calls on, say, maybe our local National League team, where you look at it sometimes and think, I'm not sure why someone getting called a foul there.
We have seen that all the way up to the SLB this season, Mark. We have seen.
You see people get passionate, smack a ball down like, oh, damn it, and they go technical foul. You think, why is that technical? I think
that's...
Is that technical? Is someone slamming a ball? Is there a rule that's... Why?
Yes.
Why?
Sorry, if I look, Mark, I haven't ref for a few years now, but if they'd slammed the ball down and they caught it, I was always told if they slam it down and catch it, it's not a tee. If they just slam the ball down and it bounces up, technical foul.
So there's been, have you seen it in the NBA as well? I think Jason Tatum's quite common for doing it. He gets the ball and goes, bounces it in frustration, and it's just like the way he looks and just bounces it down a little bit harder than normal, still catches it. He doesn't fling it off or anything, and they go, tee.
Well, look, let's face it, sometimes you're not allowed to look at the referee a certain way. No. But Mark, talking of English basketball,
yes,
I've got something for you. So I know we've been we're always trying to listen to our listeners and their feedback and stuff. So
yes,
I think we're doing more of an overview on the SLB rather than in depth on the games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there was one game that went past, and I thought it was, I don't want to say controversial. I love this idea or hate it, and I don't know which one. And this is going on to the SLB Cup.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've now got the Surrey 89ers taking on the Sheffield Sharks in the SLB Cup final. When's that?
Don't know the date, but I know it's going to be in Birmingham, I believe, isn't it? It's going to be in the Birmingham Utilita Stadium, because that's the first one that they're playing.
Oh man, I need my glasses, unfortunately.
Wow.
It's going to be...
So for those who don't know, or have forgotten in the SLB Super League Basketball in the UK. They currently have the trophy. You have the cup, you have the playoffs, and then you have the championship. So it's kind of like there's 4 trophies.
March the 9th is when the final is, and that is going to be in the Motorpoint Arena.
Yeah, in Birmingham, isn't it? Or am I mad?
You are mad.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, look, let me tell you this fact, because I thought this is genuinely unique. We probably should have started the show with this.
Okay.
So obviously you had the Sheffield Sharks taking on the Bristol Flyers. It was a 2-leg semi-final cup competition, home and away. The Sheffield Sharks 88, Bristol Flyers 64, and that was in Bristol. And then the returning fixture was a lot closer in Sheffield in the Shark Tank, and it was 6-6 Sheffield and 63 to Bristol. So Sheffield clearly won the aggregate in both of those games.
Yeah, because it was a 2-leg scenario, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I like that. I like the 2-leg scenario.
Well,
like
this is the thing that I'm not sure about this one. So Surrey 89 has taken on the Leicester Riders. And in Surrey, it was tied 93-93. Game over.
Yeah, but how can you
Game over.
How do you have a tie?
That's the thing. So the game ended a tie, and then they go up to Leicester.
Yeah, but how can you have a tie?
In the stables, and Leicester win by, Surrey win by 4 points.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is either genius or crazy. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, generally, we're taught in basketball, you do not have a tie.
There's no tie. Surely there's no tie.
You don't have a tie. I mean, that's a very football kind of thing, isn't it? 93-93. Well, not goals, you know what I mean, but a tie and you go to the other leg.
Yeah, that makes
There
no
is
sense.
part of me that likes the idea of there's a winner at the end of the day. I like that. That's basketball. The last time I noticed a draw in basketball, I was playing in it, and you were playing in it as well.
There was no.
That was at school.
There's no overtime.
Draw.
I was just looking. There was no overtime.
No, that's what I'm saying.
But what? No,
93-93.
Yeah, but why can't you play in overtime? Especially if it's a cup game. I wonder if that's a rule.
Second leg. Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just trying to be different, and I don't know.
That seems like insanity. I've never heard of a basketball game being a draw ever.
Well, Mark, you were in a game when we were at school because we were in the same team. We were in the same house at school.
Yeah, I
know. The Mighty
Allen
house. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, yeah, but we were like kids.
I think it was 12-12.
That's under 16 basketball. Like,
no, Mark, we were year 7. That's.
Oh yeah, first year.
So I remember getting
11,
Saturday detention because I turned around to the teacher and went, "It's draw." When you don't have draws in basketball. And I questioned the teacher in front of everyone. Saturday detention.
Yeah, they weren't fun.
That
is weird though. Like, why you wouldn't play for an overtime? It doesn't seem right. It really doesn't seem right. They just went because all the players. I mean, they must. Everyone must.
If I like it or not.
No, I hate it. It's ridiculous. Especially if it's. I mean, especially if there's 2 legs. Especially if there's 2 legs. I mean. The only advantage to that is they look at it going, whoever wins that game wins the game, wins it. That's it. So it kind of, it's just sound really stupid, it nullifies the whole point of having 2 legs. If you're allowed a draw, it completely nullifies having 2 legs. You might as well just do a one and done.
Yeah. I'm really interested in that game that was, at Surrey Sports Park.
Yeah.
The Riders were down by 3.
Yeah.
They were down by 3 in the dying moments. I've got it written here. With 6 seconds left, they were down by 3.
Yeah, they let them in. And it looks like Surrey didn't maybe capitalise on a few shots before that. I'm just a little surprised that was allowed though. I don't understand why there wasn't an overtime. it's obviously part of the ruling that they will have. The same way they say this one you're allowed 2 legs, this one you're allowed 1. They will have certain rules, I guess. But I would have thought in a cup competition, I wonder if FIBA have specific rules on that. Maybe that's a thing. If it's a cup competition, to be recognised for it, there's no overtimes. But I don't know a basketball game that ever doesn't have overtime.
Well, you do now, Mark, the SLB Cup.
Odd.
So I think, like I've said, I have always sung the praises of the SLB when it comes to the trophy. I love the fact that they brought all the romanticism back by allowing those 8 teams to compete.
Yeah,
and
make
I really
it interesting.
hope
Yeah.
whatever entity the league is in next year, I hope that continues. The SLB Cup, maybe that's why it's like that, because it's different. It's a different contrast to the trophy.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't add up. Like,
Hang on, what would have happened if the second game ended in a draw? Like, if it was 90-90, like, does that then go to overtime?
I don't know, but I've seen, and I don't know what NBA game it was off the top of my head, but I remember watching something in double overtime. I've seen an NBA game in double overtime before. So I wonder if that, because, unlike football, you can't do penalties, really, can you? I mean, they should. Imagine that. You got to do free throws.
No.
Imagine
overtime.
That would just be ruinous, wouldn't it?
3-point shootout, half court shot. Actually, one of the teams that I played for a long time, Portsmouth Fury, they do this thing where you got to get a free. Well, you must have seen this all on the courts. You got to get a layup, a free throw, 3-point, and then a half court shot. Yeah. Maybe they pick a player, and the first person does that win the game. Take all the skill away from the whole team and just throw it to one player. There you go.
But in that case, every team is going to have one person who everyone questions, like, what are they doing on the team? Like, they don't look healthy. They don't look after themselves. I think they just go to, like, the park and play, and you go, yeah, but they're an absolute master at just getting every one of those shots in as quick as possible. Like, no one can beat them at that game.
That one game in 10 years.
Yeah. And they just like,
Dave, sub in, you're on,
bring in Dave, and he's like, here he is.
And everyone's like, who the hell's this guy? We thought he was the bloody war boy.
It's like
what's going on?
It's the John Smith's advert, isn't it? Just bring him on. Here is John Smith competing in basketball.
Thought he was the mop boy. Anyway, so I thought that was quite unique. 93.
Not a fan.
Sorry, and Widers. But I'm kind of on the fence with it. I think it's a Marmite decision. You either love that or you hate that. So
no, it goes completely against the point of basketball. Don't like it at all. Utter
draws
rubbish.
In basketball in the SLB Cup.
No, you
slammed by Mark.
Don't have a draw. Basketball's not designed to have a draw. It's not a game like that.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate.
Let's play darts. Let's play darts because everyone likes showing darts. So let's play darts and have a draw. Let's play badminton and have a draw. Let's play tennis and have a draw. Like, no, there's no. If you're playing a sport, someone has to win. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah. Well, look, we did say you got Sheffield and Surrey competing against each other in the final in less than a month from now.
I mean, look, that's nice. That is really good for Surrey. That's great to see a southern team competing. That's really, really good. But you got to say, they're up against Sheffield, who this season, I think there's 16, they're like 12 wins out of 16. They're top of the table. And the only games I've watched with Sheffield recently, all I've taken away from it is not only how good the team is, but their crowd are insane. The crowd just absolutely love the team, and they're so behind everything. It must be a really, really good feeling being up there right now.
I genuinely believe at the moment I said this to you before, I think it's one of the best atmospheres.
Yeah, 100%. But it's everything that you'd want from a crowd. Like, they're interactive. They actually want to be behind the team. The team has struggled last season, and then they sort of got better as the season went on, and the people were still right there. And it's like nothing's changed. They're all supporting and winning, and it kind of echoes what we were saying previously about if it's your local team, you turn up and you support because they're the local people. And
so well done, Mark. Excellent observation. 12 wins out of 16 games for the Sheffield Sharks.
There we go.
At the moment. Surrey 89ers, 5 out of 15. But it's a cup final, mate. And anything can happen in the cup final.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Anything can happen. I mean, look
at Leicester. Leicester are right on the heels of Sheffield and London. They've only lost 4 as well. Right on the heels. If they got 2 games in hand, I do think it's better to have the games played. I'd rather, because they also we've got 2 games in hand, but it's like, yeah, I'd rather do that because it's like I know where I stand. Then when people say, we got 2 games in hand, it's like, well, you're assuming you're going to win those 2 games.
No.
Sheffield, they know where they are. So
I understand what you're saying.
If they win those 2 games, they're literally. I mean, I'd have to look at the detail where they'll end up. But look, they're up there. But so Surrey have beaten Leicester.
Yeah,
at Leicester.
Yes, they have. Yeah.
So they're now taking on Sheffield in a neutral venue.
Yep.
Who knows?
Well,
you know what? I'd like the idea that Surrey win it. If I'm honest
that'd
with
be
you.
great. That'd be really good.
I love Sheffield. I think Sheffield's great. I think the people up there are brilliant.
Yep.
However, it would be really romantic for Surrey to win a trophy
in their first
year as the 89ers. And look, we've had Lloyd Gardner on the show and stuff like that. He was a bloody legend. And we're speaking to a couple of players like that off the court. So I think it will be great I think it'll be great for them to win that. I think it'll be great for them.
Yeah.
I think I'm speaking with my heart because I've spoken to those guys.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And they are the closest team to us geographically, but also when they were Guildford, they had quite a storied history. They won the league a few times, and as obviously then there were Surrey Scorchers up until recently, when it's now the 89ers. So
I actually prefer the 89ers name.
To the Scorchers.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
definitely.
Really?
But because I feel like I'm being a bit harsh to Sheffield. Up, Sheffield.
Top north.
Only the Sheffield people are understand that. Up, top pub.
Oh dear. But they are doing well, and like you say, you've got them. I think it's them, and then I want to say it's London, Leicester. Then I think Newcastle.
I can tell you,
Newcastle.
It's Sheffield, London.
Yep.
London are playing really good at the moment. Leicester, then Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle have had fantastic. Fantastic.
Well, we've got to give them a round of applause, haven't we, for doing well so far. Not only did they do well in...
That is so loud in my head.
Good. That's because you have your volume loud. Not only did they do really well, as you mentioned, in Europe, but just before that, they obviously secured the trophy this season.
Yeah, huge win.
Big win against Bristol Flyers, I think it was.
Yeah. So huge win for Newcastle, claiming the first bit of silverware. Trophy's always the first silverware to be given out. So yeah, they took that.
Their little thing I did on social media said like 8 times trophy winners. It's like we've won this trophy 8 times. You're like, yeah, I like that.
Prestigious club in British basketball.
Yeah.
I do feel this isn't a knock. This isn't a knock to Newcastle because they've won the trophy. They're doing great in Europe, but
I like this. This isn't a knock, but someone's coming up.
No. But I think it's had an impact on their Championship League form. They've lost 7 games.
Yeah. 100%.
Some of them questionable. Some of them questionable that you think, they could have, whether they didn't turn up or they could have won it. There's There's maybe one we were questioning referees on a little bit towards the end of the game. But that I think when you put all that together, especially the European fixtures, you look at Newcastle and go, and I think that's impacted on their championship form. However, let's see how they finish.
Look, they're up against, I think it's Back and Bears next, and they're like is it Danish team, I want to say, Belgian or Danish. The Back and Bears, they're the ones who they've come up against a few times, and they're a big club. So that's going to be great for them. But I love the fact that UK is being represented in Europe, and they're up against these clubs who are, they're prestigious. They're seeing quality, they're seeing the talent, and going, okay, like we can compete. And it'd be great to see teams like Sheffield trying to get out into these sort of leagues. Yeah. It'd be, I know Bristol were out, but they didn't qualify, I don't believe. So this EMBL has proven really successful for it. But I'll ask you the question then. Like you say, it's hurt them in their championship.
Can I just say one thing real quickly? So in fifth, you got Cheshire. Sixth is Surrey. So the cup is first 3-6 at the moment. Seventh, you got Manchester, Bristol in eighth, and holding the bottom of the championship standings at the moment are the Caledonia Gladiators.
Caledonia Gladiators, who no one has a clue what's going on. They've just fell off a giant cliff this year, didn't they?
So what was your question, Mark?
Well, so my question was, you're Mark Studel, and you're looking at your schedule. You've got your championship, your trophy, your cup, ENBL as well. Where are you taking the knee? What do you put the onus on?
I don't know. That's if you're going to put an onus on anything. I think they're just going to go into every game and just try to manage as much as. This is the real politicians' answer, but they're going to try to manage their bodies and health as best as they can. But they're going to be bloody playing their hearts out for every single game, aren't they? However, I think they're in Europe for a reason.
They're in Europe for a reason. I agree with that. And I would actually it's going to sound silly, but I'd put the championship towards the bottom.
Well,
because if you
see
think
what the fixtures are like.
Well, look at the trophy. You play the trophy, it's a cup competition. You look at the cup in essentially. That's also a cup competition. So it doesn't matter where you are in the league. Like, those results are irrelevant. In terms of getting to the playoffs to win the league, or to win that trophy, the playoff trophy, you just need to go to that. But who remembers who wins the league? Because they get a little, we talked about it last season, they get a little trophy for, you were the ones who won it.
But they win. You remember when you win the league. What are you talking about? Portsmouth, 1988, 1989. Do you remember that one?
No. You're mistaken. You're looking at football. We're not talking about that. We're talking like in the NBA, for example. The way that we play it here is you have who came at the top of the Eastern Conference. All right, that was, let's say, go a few years back, and you look at
the Riders and Cheshire Phoenix just tipped off.
So look, Milwaukee finished top of the Eastern Conference and everything a few seasons back. Went into the playoffs. They were number one. I can't remember. It was number 8. I think it was the Heat or something like that. And they got beaten. And do you remember that was the one that Giannis was then going, it's not a loss just because we lost one game, blah, blah, blah. It was a good speech, but you could tell he was a bit salty. That's what our league and the playoff competition is. So almost the championship, yes, you can win that. And that's why when we spoke with Paul Blake last year, he said that they won all four because they won the cup, the trophy, the championship, finishing top of the league, and then they won the actual playoffs themselves. So it's actually 4.
Honestly, I would put, out of rating all of those, I'd put the championship at the top, above the playoffs, 100%. Because the championship is the one that you win over 30-odd games.
Yeah.
So, you are true champions, I think, if you win that championship. So, Yeah,
Really?
that's
it. So, do you think
You
the
are
same then
true
with the
champion.
NBA? Would you say the same thing in the NBA? Because there's teams like look at the Warriors when they won like 70 games
I
or
said
something.
this to you at the end of last season
Yeah.
that they should have a table of first to 30.
Yep.
And if you finish top over everyone, you win the Mark Chester Trophy.
Well, they do. They have a Eastern Conference one and a Western Conference one. They have a specific trophy.
A combined. There is a combined table.
Yeah, I thought there was a combined trophy.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the David Stern one after they've named it after the ex-commissioner?
But no one sees it, do they?
No one. That's what I mean. No one sees it. And no one cares about it because at the end of the day, as long as you finish within the playoffs, as long as you finish in that top 8 and you get in the playoffs, that's all that matters. That's why if you're looking,
that's all they're after.
Exactly. So if you're looking at it realistically, as long as you get in that top half, just like Newcastle are at the moment, and then you focus on getting the other ones, which are silverware that you can go grab, take home.
Yeah,
that's probably the best way to do it because you go, it doesn't matter if I lose a game here or there, which is a domestic home one, but if it's a cup or a trophy competition, a bit like the games, for example, in the NBA where they had the in-game, the tournament, for example, the in-season tournament or the NBA Cup rather, they just double bubbled games. It does make sense that you would put a little bit more effort into those games because it counts for 2. So why would you not do that?
Yeah. But again, I'll say it again. I think the championship is the most prestigious in British basketball. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
And look at the league this year. Look at the championship this year. You've got Sheffield, London, and Leicester all on the same amount of losses at the moment. And we're over halfway through the season. I mean, and Newcastle are only 3 losses away.
So it's
an exciting championship. Remember last year, London had, I think after 10 games, we were like, they won it.
Yeah,
this is over.
Yeah,
so what an exciting championship.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's definitely been more level.
SLB's got this year.
This whole
season
has been level.
Newcastle are, until March 9th, they're playing teams below them in the league.
Oh, okay.
So you're talking about their European things. They're playing London on the 9th of March. Other than that, they're playing teams below them. So if there was a time, I don't think there is a game you can take your foot off the pedal, if I'm honest.
Oh, no.
Look at Surrey, they're in the SLB Cup final.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you've got the amount of, we're talking about loading on players and moving around, all that sort of stuff. If you're looking at it strategically, you would definitely put weights and measures and look at this game. It's probably worth more than something else, wouldn't you? You just would.
Yeah.
You just would do that.
We used to use weight and measures on a night out, remember?
Exactly.
Weights and measures would decide the punishment.
That would decide the punishment. That's what I mean. So
So there you go, Mark. Exciting time in Super League British basketball. I've said this every time. I say this to lots of people. I think the actual British basketball that we've got at the moment is some of the most exciting we've had. It'll be really interesting. I reread that statement that the SLB put out where they were saying, talking about the BBF not getting the licensing and stuff like that. And they were talking about legality. You look at that last sentence they put. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but the last sentence they put on their statement is, we'll continue to work basically to support British basketball in the UK. So it's like, cool. Those teams are going to be involved. Whatever it is, those teams are going to be involved. That's how I read that anyway. So
I think what everyone who is a fan can take off of it is you just have to look at Sheffield, Newcastle, Leicester, London. You have to look at all these big teams who have built infrastructures, built massive buildings. You don't do that just for a laugh. Like, you're not going to leave a centre that big and it just goes to waste. It's not possible. There's too much of a basketball community for that to not thrive. If you've got an arena, you're just going to build stuff around it. We've seen it with all these clubs, obviously when we talked to Paul again, and when we've seen all of the other communities or the academies, they have everything built behind all these things. they're the ones who are ultimately in the driving seat. And I think that was where the shock came from. It's that, hang on a minute, why is there someone above us who suddenly is deciding, when we've spent all the money, we are the ones who are in the community doing it. We are the ones who are providing basketball games, coverage. We're doing all this. All you're doing is saying you can have a bit of paper to go and do it. That's the bit I think which rubbed people out the wrong way, which is understandable.
Hey, you got to pay 25 grand for that piece of paper.
No, 25 grand
to put it in.
For 25 grand for the pleasure of attending a pitching where, you know, everyone goes around, dances around the handbags, and it's a tea and biscuits meeting, which should be a foregone conclusion. But it's very interesting time.
Name of the band,
but
foregone conclusion.
Well, the only thing that everyone should take note is, if the other party has spent 25 grand and put something else in, all we'll say is it's just a tender.
Yeah.
It's just a tender. It doesn't mean that's the deal that's going ahead. It doesn't mean that there is a deal. It doesn't mean that they know what it is. All it means is there's a tender. But there has been, I won't say not a development, but a very interesting thing that came up recently that says that there's going to be an NBA game being hosted in Manchester.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I like it because that's supposed to be the National Basketball Centre for like performance and that. You'd think that's where they'd host it, but apparently there's going to be something to do with the NBA connected there. It just came out today.
Okay. Wow. Maybe we see some big things in Manchester soon then.
That could be intriguing indeed. Could be intriguing indeed. But I think it's basketball at the moment, all basketball needs to capitalize on some of these massive changes that are taking place. That's all I'll say. You know, there's lots of sports that are just the same year in, year out. You know what you're getting. There's so much change in basketball at the moment. There's so many people who are interested in it or are looking for sports and looking to go get involved with their local teams. You know, it's like, this is a really good time to do it. And I just hope that the people in all these marketing teams and departments and stuff just capitalize on it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, people are going to be dining out on Luka going to Lakers for a long time. Like, capitalize on it.
Oh, look, I think to finish this off, I would say anyone listen to this, I encourage them, if they haven't, go and watch an SLB game.
Oh, 100%.
There. You know what?
Go see a live game.
I haven't seen a top professional basketball game in the UK live in a decade. And that's about to change in 2 weeks, Mark.
Excellent.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be brilliant. And it's
Are
not.
you going?
Well, I'm planning to.
Nice. For our listeners, we're coming to Surrey to watch the 89ers. I think they're taking on the Caledonia Gladiators. So,
which should be a foregone conclusion, but we shall see.
Great name of a band, foregone conclusion. Yeah, that'll be, looking forward to that. So, we might get some vids, chuck them out on the old socials, eh, Mark?
Why not? Rude not to.
Right. Well, there you go. Another show.
Let
us know at ukbasketballpodcast@gmail.com if you like this, if it sounded okay, because if it does, this is a lot easier for us with the northern studios, isn't it, Mark?
So is.
This might become a permanent fixture.
It might be permanent indeed, and backgrounds might change. It won't be little Grogu on the background. But thank you very much for listening this week. It's been a pleasure as always. I've been Mark. Go check out the rest of our shows.
I've been Paul, and look, if you play badminton, we all make mistakes. Just learn from it. Learn from your mistakes. Good night.